Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to deliver the 2023 budget speech and set the tone for the year ahead.
Yeah, the minister has to satisfy various needs and calls for a basic income grant, just one of them, including how he will solve the energy crisis. Our business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa, is in Cape Town for us ahead of the speech. Xolani, this is an event that obviously follows on from the President's State of the Nation address. It's a huge event on the country's calendar, perhaps more so now than ever before.
Yes, indeed, Michelle, you're absolutely right. The State of the Nation address sets the tone for the beginning of the year from the state president, and it is really a wish list, a shopping list for the finance minister in weeks to come, such as today, where he then is the person who has the purse strings to actually say this is what we can afford and this is what we can't afford. So basically, when it comes to the budget speech, it is important to everyone in South Africa because it touches on everyone's pocket and how much money they are actually going to see being spent on a number of services. You are absolutely right in terms of the basic income grant. There have been contradicting views about whether it should be implemented and at what rate it should be implemented, and there are various needs, as we heard from the State of the Nation address, including the fact that the President imposed the national state of disaster, and we know what happened during COVID-19 with that national state of disaster. How is it going to work? We also want to know how the Minister of Finance is planning around the tax rebates for renewable power to be used by businesses and households. So it's going to be quite important for him to chart a path for the next 12 months for the country and actually tell us exactly how he is going to address load shedding, how he is going to address the unions who are at his door, banging at his door, demanding their salary increases in terms of this particular year's budget speech.
So you've already touched on some of the big issues that we are hoping to hear something from the Finance Minister on today, Xolani. The other big issue, of course, is around the rising cost of living. It needs to be, and this is some analysis from a number of experts this morning on Budget Day, it needs to be a pro-poor budget.
It always needs to be a pro-poor budget, and we are looking at the basic income grant as something that is absolutely important. We haven't experienced as a country, along with many other countries, such a high cost of living that is impacting on a poor household and low-income households. We saw last year with the introduction of, not actually the introduction, but the suspension of the fuel levy, how much of that actually saved households, motorists and businesses a lot of money. There is none planned this year in terms of that suspension of the fuel levy, but there are a lot of demands that have to go with the high interest rate, the inflationary pressures that we are seeing, and the increases in terms of the power tariffs by the National Energy Regulator on Eskom power that is supplied. So there are a number of things that impact on poor households, low-income households that he has to satisfy today. Clearly, he is not going to be able to satisfy everybody, but he needs to strike a delicate balancing act today, just like his predecessors have done.
Absolutely. Big job ahead for the Finance Minister today. Xolani Mbanjwa, thanks very much indeed for that update, that preview. That's our business editor live to us there in Cape Town.